A very good morning to you. Welcome to Money and Technology right here at CBA TV. My name is Ngugi, and in today's show we have a special guest. His name is Suleiman Mohammed Hussein, who works with the Network and Security Department at Telesom Company. Welcome to the show.
Welcome. Well, thank you very much.
Welcome, and I'm happy to see you.
I am happy to see you. Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you very much.
So you work for Telesom?
Yes, I work for Telesom Company, like you said. Thank you very much for the lovely introduction. I work for Telesom Company in the Network and Security Department, and with many other workers. I've been working for the company for a few years now, almost 10 years now. I've lived in UK most of my teenage life. I came back here since, I think I've been here since 2008. Yeah, thank you for having me.
Welcome. Sure. Well, I'm sure you're the right person to tell us about what internet and cybersecurity is, because you've been there for a long time.
Definitely. I hope to shed the light on some important details and important information that I think would be helpful for the use for the viewers. And I think I might be of some help with the right questions and with the right details, inshallah.
Thank you so much for making time to come to CBA TV. And today we're going to talk about the internet, and in particular, security when it comes to the internet. You know, we must appreciate, first of all, that the internet really came to make the world better. I don't know, has the internet made life better for you? Like, would you operate without the internet?
And again, thank you for having me, for inviting me this lovely morning. And it's very important that the country has TV channels and TVs that bring up the awareness of the security of the internet. I thank you again for having me. And yes, my life has been better with the internet. I mean, the internet is, they say a knife with two sides. You can either use it for benefit stuff, or you can use it for non-beneficial stuff. But overall, if you concentrate on the beneficial side of it, I think you have to agree with, you have to say that it has helped everyone's life, whether it's education, social media, the right bits of it. And I think it has brought a lot of good into people's life if you use it correctly.
Well, it is true we need the internet. Like, I cannot even imagine myself living without internet for one day, because I use it to communicate, to find information, like everything I do. Even a simple recipe, you can just go to the internet and Google how to make a cake. But everything comes with its disadvantage. And there's this thing we call cybercrime. And we need to be aware that as much as we are using the internet, we are not safe. So what are these things that we need to be aware about? Like, how has the internet made our lives insecure? Okay,
first, before we get into that, I would like to shed some light on the actual benefits of the internet. I mean, like you said, you can, in nowadays, one cannot imagine living a life without the internet or without some sort of networking communication. I mean, in communication, if I say a little bit first, a bit of introduction, it has always existed in the past. As humans, we have just made it a bit faster. Before, people used to send letters on horsebacks, on cars, in post office. And if somebody wanted to send a letter from one city to another city, they would write the letter and put it on horseback or on a car, and it would travel a week, 2 weeks. But now, with the click of a finger, you can say hello to somebody in London or UK. So it's the same communication, but as humans, we've just made it a bit faster. We've just made it a bit faster. It's beneficial. We use it for education purposes. We use it for governmental stuff. We use it for health health and medical services. We use it for entertainment, like you said. We use it for shopping, and online banking. There's so many. The list is endless that you can use for the benefits of internet. But like we said, everything comes with risks, and with the internet, boy oh boy, does it come with many risks. And we can go through the risks in step by step. But first of all, there's a lot of benefit in the internet, and there's a lot of risks that come along with those benefits.
So what are these risks?
Some of the risks, if you go through slowly, would be, if you start with the kids, something called, I'm sure you've heard of cyberbullying.
Yes.
The kids go on the net they are bullied. First of all, before it used to be the kid goes to the school, he comes back home, he tells his parents, I've been bullied, so-and-so have bullied me. And then it was a physical thing. You go to the school and then you go deal with whoever did this problem or this bullying. But now with the internet, there's so many cyberbullying, in psychological damage to the kids. That's one aspect of the damages that the internet can cause. There's something called phishing. I'm sure you've heard of phishing emails, where somebody sends a scam email.
Like pretending they're a company.
Definitely. They pretend to be somebody that is trustworthy, like a friend, an employee, or somebody like that. And their main purpose and their main goal is to get details from you, to get personal details, banking accounts. So they send you an email, you click those email, and then it will direct you to a form that you will fill in. And those form, you will fill in personal details, bank account, and username, password, and you think it's the company that you work for, or it's a friend who's directing you to a good offer. But not knowing that, you're filling in this form, and somebody who's with bad intentions, criminal will receive those information. So phishing is another type of attacking. Some of those attacks that the internet can bring is somebody hacking into your computer, damaging certain data that you had, in corruption of data, denial of service, if it's a company or if it's somebody who's personal in using the internet, theft of personal information, in valuable information, pictures, in valuable data that is in the computer or on your phone that can be stolen, that would be then used against you, maybe as ransom or as blackmail. Or
so someone can actually commit a crime in your name?
Definitely, definitely. Okay. They can pretend that they're you, and or pretend that they're a certain company or from a certain department, pretend. There's little ways of knowing, and pretend that they're actually coming from a trustworthy source, and pretend that to be somebody that they're not. Definitely.
So these cyber criminals, what are they looking for actually? Like, why are they after information?
That's a very good question. It depends on who and what. If it's a company, they might be after a certain, companies have competitions. They might be after a certain data of that company. What are they making yearly? In financial information, how many workers do they have? What payments do they give those or a company who's a threat to another company who wants to get the upper hand? They might want some details, or they might be doing the hacking themselves, or they might be hiring somebody else on their behalf to do that. They might be just after personal details, your bank accounts, your personal details, to pretend that they're you, so they can take certain transactions on your behalf. It could be somebody who's just playing around. They come around, you're practicing that they're a hacker. They will hack into your laptop or your system and just delete or corrupt everything, just because they can do it. The intentions, vary. But mainly when it comes to phishing and personal attacks, is mainly to get your details, your personal details, your bank account, your login, your passwords, so they can do some corruption or take some money out of your account or and so forth.
Well, I believe that these people who do these things, they are very technologically wise. Like, they're not normal people. Like, they're people who are learned.
Definitely.
But the people who are affected, people like me, we might not be aware. How can we identify that this thing I'm using or this site I am in is not safe for me? How can I protect myself?
That's another very good question. There's so many ways that you can safeguard yourself. There's the government aspect, the ISP, the internet service provider who provide the internet, the steps that they can take to ensure the people that are aware, the shuyukhs, the people of the country that word spreads quickly. There's certain awareness that they can give to certain people that would bring awareness. But definitely, as an individual, there's many steps that you can take to ensure to a certain limit that you're safeguarded and you're secure while you are still using the internet. And those services that we've talked about before, whether it's your shopping, whether it's your online education, whether it's in health services, wherever you want to be on the internet for, there's so many things that you can safeguard, and we can go through a short list of measures that you can take to safeguard yourselves. First of all is knowing that you can be targeted. Never ever think, not me, what am I? I don't work for a big company. I don't.
So anybody can be targeted.
Anybody can be a target. So the first thing is to be aware that you can be a target, that you can be threatened. You might not be a boss of a company, you might not be a governmental, but there's certain things that are valuable in your life, like pictures, like certain details. And if those pictures or certain details get in the wrong hands, it can be used against you. So you have to be aware. I might not have a lot of money, but there's a lot of risks that can happen. I have to be aware that I can be a target. That's the first thing. Secondly is when you're on the internet, or whether it's in our workplace or whether it's personal use, you have to have strong passwords. Any device that you use, any service that you use, any social media entity that you go into, you have to have strong passwords.
By strong password, you mean like you might have a password that is 20 characters long? Or?
No, not really. You don't have to be 20 characters long, but it has to be 8 and above characters. It can't be like your daughter's name or the first two sons of your family or your father's name. Things that can be guessed. It can't be. It can't be certain phrases. It has to be strong words like in alphabetical and numeric.
Okay.
You have to have in syllables. You have to so many different things. 8 and above. It would be very difficult to break down, and it can't be a word that is found in the dictionary, because that can be really, really easily be found by those with the wrong kind of. So it has to be strong word, more than 8 characters, numbers, blood points, symbols, a lot of stuff that you have to remember. And you can use in password management, where you can have all your software called password management, where you download it, you put all your passwords in, and then you make a master key for that software. So you just remember those that master key for that program, and all your passwords for the different Facebook, Twitter are in that software.
Okay.
And then you can look up. You can do that. That's the second thing. First, knowing that you're a target. Secondly, by having strong passwords in different areas of your social life in the internet. In another step that you can take is by locking up your devices. Say, for example, I'm talking to you now, or I'm in a meeting with somebody, or I'm at workplace, and I want to go to toilet. I want to go grab a cup of coffee. I want to go for a long time. No matter how long or short, make sure you switch everything off. You log off your passwords. You turn off your computers if you have to. Make sure you lock everything off. Don't say, I'm just going to come back quickly and it's going to be all right. You don't know who's around. You don't know who's going to come around while you're gone. So make sure all the devices are locked and don't leave it open. Another thing is, when you're on the internet, practice safe clicking. What I mean by this, you would have, while you're using the internet, a lot of pop-ups. You would get a lot of messages. You would get a lot of advertisements. Make sure you are careful with what you're clicking. Be smart with what you click. It might be a simple click, but it can cost you a lot of damage.
Like sometimes when you're in the internet, you see these things popping up, like download this game.
Download it. Don't do that. Unless you are, you know that this website is trusted, that this person sending you this stuff is trusted. Do not click things that are suspicious or are unexpected. Be careful of what you click. Don't click everything that you see. Another one is beware of browsing. Like we said, the websites that you go to and the links that you click. It's this website that you say, for example, you're doing banking online, or you are doing all sorts of stuff in beneficial stuff using for the internet. Make sure that you know the URL in the top, the address at the top that you type in www. Make sure it has the HTTPS. There's a difference because some have just HTTP. It's not secure.
So S is for secure.
It's security, yes. So make sure it has the S. Make sure it has that little padlock. I don't know if you've seen it. It's got a little key.
Padlock at the end.
Definitely. That is to show you that this website is secure. The data between the browser and the server is encrypted. That's another step that you can take. Make sure what you're browsing and what you're going is secure by looking at those details, by looking at the spelling of the website you're going into. If it's misspelled, maybe it's the wrong website you're going into. Or somebody directs you to a website, says, go to the website, you get this, you will win this. Check the spelling. If the spelling is wrong, it's pretended to be a website that it's not. That's another thing. And you know, there's a saying in English, sharing is caring. But not when it comes to the internet. Sharing is not caring. Be careful of what you share. Whether it's personal details, whether it's workplace, whether it's in any aspect. Only what's needed. You share only what's needed. And what I mean by this is hackers can use, we would see at the end, and they would get certain details of you. And for example, we would see the famous scams at the end when we talk about it. They would get certain information of you by looking at your Facebook, your different social media accounts, your personal name, your family name, your kid's name, and then they would send you emails, threatening emails. They would say, you're so and so and this, you've got 2 kids, their names are this and this, I know you live in this address. And how do how did they know this information? Because you provided it in different platforms.
They connect all those
They
platforms.
connect, and they send you this email, certain email. Unless you give a certain ransom, a certain amount of money, or you do such and such favor, we've got more pictures of you being intimate with your family, whatnot. We would threaten to kill you, kidnap your daughter, which her name is Asma, blah blah. You understand? They would get this information and threaten you with it afterwards, and you think, oh my gosh, how they know my daughter's name? They know this. But you forgot 2 years ago you provided. Oh, it's my so and so's birthday. You provide this information, and they would use this information against you. So the bottom line is, make sure you're careful with what you share.
Yeah.
Be careful with what you share, whether it's personal details or whether it's a company's details. That goes the same for the employees. Making sure what you're sharing is what's needed, minimum. Nothing more, nothing less. Another step that you can take is always take backup of your information, whether it's your laptop, whether it's the family important pictures. Make sure you have it on another device, just in case you are affected or something happens
and you lose all
your data. Make sure you have a backup of everything that is important to you. That's another step that you can take. Another thing is in physical cyber safety. Making sure that these devices, we talked about how the inside of it, make sure physically that in USB flashes, your mobile, your laptop are in a secure place physically, so they're not in the wrong hands. Make sure that you don't leave your USB.
Don't leave it in a coffee shop.
Don't leave it in a coffee shop or places like that. Make sure they are in a safe place. We would end with staying aware of your accounts. Say, for example, your banking account, your SAD account, your emails accounts. To check now and then if there's any funny activities. If there's unusual activity or something doesn't seem right, most of the time something's wrong. Make sure you look into it, ask somebody who knows. If you're an employee, report to your administrator and so forth. Make sure you're aware. You're somebody who's aware, who's always cautious. What's going on? Why is this person sending me? Who's this? Ask questions. Because it's a dark world out there.
So don't take anything for granted.
Don't take anything small. Don't take it for granted. And lastly, there's many more we can say this, but lastly, making sure that you're up to date with the minimum scams, what's the famous scams, what's going on. Because if you are somebody who's dependent on the internet and being online, you have to be aware what's going on. What's the latest scams, what's the famous scams. You have to be somebody who's a bit updated, somebody who's aware. Don't be just like, I use the internet, I'm nobody, nobody's going to attack me, nobody. Make sure you're aware. You know what you're doing, what you're getting yourself into, because the internet and being online has become very, very dangerous. You know how many stories that is going on of people that have been, their life has been turned upside down. Kids' life has been turned upside down just because of the misuse of certain simple guidelines that they did not follow. So those are some of the measures that you can take to protect yourself online. I hope that was helpful.
Well, as internet users are so vulnerable, but once this has happened to you, what can you do? Are there cyber laws? Are there ways that these people can be captured? And can you identify these criminals?
It depends on the platform. Say, for example, in this country that we live in Somaliland, I'm hoping that there are certain laws that the ISP, the providers of those companies that provide the internet or those services that you're using. Say, for example, the company, a Telesom company, which I work for, is a company, telecommunication company that deals with a lot of sensitive data, whether it's SAD, whether it's people's cloud information, and to a certain extent, they take responsibility when somebody does something wrong in order to go after or capture that person that has misused a person's details. The government has a role to play in certain laws that should be implemented. And what happens to those individuals is if they get caught with certain bad activities. If you're an employee of a company, I'm sure every company has certain policies in place. If that happens, you report to that person, and that action takes place. They have, of course, in advanced companies like Telesom or Somtel, they have certain devices like firewalls, VPNs, all sorts of devices and services that protect their customers' data and their daily information, daily activities. So if something happens in there, then I'm sure every company has its own policies on how to deal with those bad activities. Such people.
Are there any famous hackers that you are aware about? these cyber criminals? Are there famous sites that are known to be notorious for this?
And for once, we don't want to give them a name or platform, but there are certain stories or certain famous hacks that has been around or up to now that is going on. Some of those famous hacks, like I said, one of the first that you would come across is the one that I've mentioned, the phishing email scams, where you get a fake email, somebody pretending to be somebody that you know, that you trust, that you associate with, and you think, oh, so and so send me an email, let me just click this, and when you click this, they would ask you to provide certain details, sensitive details, but because you think it's from a trusted source, you would provide this information, and not knowing that you're giving it to the wrong hands, whether it's bank details, passwords, and then you're in really, really big trouble.
It's what we call identity theft, right?
Identity theft, yes, it's one part of it. Phishing in email scams, they also use what's called in social engineering. They psychologically pretend and manipulate you, so you think this is trusted platform, trusted person, a friend. They would use some sort of social engineering to convince you that they're trusted in order to get to those information from you. So physical phishing email scams deals with two. Firstly, they pretend to be somebody that you know, that you trust. Secondly, they are after those important sensitive details of you. Another famous scam that's been around for a long time is something is called the Nigerian scam. The Nigerian scam. And what do they mean by this is somebody sends you an emotional email or a letter. Somebody who pretends to be famous or rich in that country, or governmental, somebody who's important in the government, and they will send you a really emotional email message saying that a certain money has been taken away from me. I want to retrieve my money back. I want you to help me with the paperwork and the financial stuff. And once I retrieve my money, I will give you such an amount. You understand?
Yeah.
That's another very, very dangerous, and it's still going around. So somebody who's warm-hearted, somebody who's a good person might think, you know what, this person, I know, a famous politician, let me help him and donate a little something for his paperwork, and maybe I'll get something being retained. That's another scam. It's called the Nigerian scam. Another famous scam.
The Nigerian scam.
The Nigerian scam.
Okay.
Another famous scam is the greeting card scam. Greeting card scam. You know, in festivals like in this country, on Eid, on Ramadan, on birthdays, Christmas Eve, and so forth, you know, different festivals, you'd get a greeting card email on your on your inbox, and they would ask you to click, and as soon as you click this email, a software is being downloaded into your computer. And there would be certain pop-ups, and all at this time personal information and details are being taken away from your laptop or from your smart device. That's another famous one, a greeting. So you'd think a friend that normally send you a greeting, and you just click straight away, oh, I sent me a nice greeting, Eid Mubarak, and it's the wrong email. Another thing is very famous, I'm sure you heard of it, the lottery scam. Somebody send you an email and then says that you've won such and such the lottery for small paperwork, send this money, and for $2, $3, proceed, and definitely you're prepared. All that stopping you from getting this money is just the process of you just giving $2, $3. And you might think, what's $2? What's $3? But imagine you send that email to 1 million people, 500,000 people, and only 50,000 respond. $3, 50,000, $150,000. You understand? So they're endless. They will send. And you know, everybody loves money, and so you think, you know what, $2 is nothing.
Lucky.
Let me just check here. I'm very lucky. I've been selected, and they have a way of making you feel unique. You've been selected.
They use very nice words.
They maybe use where you work and or whatnot, because they did a bit of research from your social media. They pretend they'll get certain details that would hook you in. That think, this is really normal. We will end with this. One last attack is, which I mentioned before, the hitman scam, which is, like I said, the hacker or the person who's using your information would collect certain details from your social media platforms or from different areas, and then they would use that against you, like for kidnapping purposes. They would say, I would kidnap your daughter if you don't give me this amount of money, or if you don't do this favor for me. And they would provide details of your name, your address, your email, your phone number, which you provided in different platforms. So it's more of a threatening scam. If you don't give me this money, I will do such and such thing. Some of the famous scams.
Well, these kids are really famous, and I'm sure they spend sleepless nights
Definitely.
trying to come up with new things
Definitely.
that people are not aware about so that they can trick you.
Definitely.
But the sad thing is that we adults, we might be able to identify that, but will children identify this? Because right now, like in Somaliland, internet is so cheap and affordable. So you'll find children have access to internet and they are also at risk. How do we ensure that our children are safe?
That's another very, very good question in Wangui. Thank you for asking that again. And you are definitely right. Some of these hackers and these people with bad intentions, what you have to know is that they have no life and no other jobs to do most of the time.
Yeah.
All they do is just practice hacking, how to break into something, how to destroy something, how to expose something. So every day they come up with a new trick, with a new trick. So we have to be aware of the measures that we can take, some of them that we have mentioned before. And some of the children, one of the most important aspects of everybody's life is their kids. So making sure the kids are safe while using the web, if they need to use the web, is very important. Firstly, the parental supervision of the kids is number one. The parents have to supervise what these kids are using. Why are they on the internet? First of all, why are you using the internet? What part of the internet are you using? What have I put or safeguard on the laptop to protect those kids? In checking what history, the history side of the internet. What website did he go into? Talking to the kids. Do you get any cyberbullying? Do you get talking to the kids? That's one aspect of it. In advising the kids and letting them know that they should not provide any sensitive data.
Yeah, don't tell people where
you live, your name, your full name, your family name, or certain sensitive data that can be attracted from the kids, that can be used against the family. Make sure the devices that the kids are using are not always connected to the net, because there's certain pictures that no family wants to share online, and the kids could be playing on the game, and they would just share those pictures, and it's very, very bad. You know, the most comfortable place for a family is in the house, so you would have people taking all sorts of pictures that's intended for the family and only for the family. But if those pictures get shared online, then it's very bad. But make sure that when they're playing games or whatnot, that they're not online while this is happening. And another thing is making sure the scholars and the people who are learned in the country to give awareness,
like teachers
in giving awareness of kids, in making some sort of activities or role plays, letting them know the dangers, the dark side of the net, the benefits, but also the dark side of the net. And secondly, the government should have some sort of laws in every country that what can be actually viewed by those kids and by those individuals in those countries. And if those preaches and if those things are preached or are not being followed, what steps does the government take to protect those families and those people living in that society? What are we as a society supposed to look at? What are we not supposed to look at? And another thing is, and firstly, the most important thing is the ISP, the internet service providers. They should, like Telesom company, and I'm sure some will do the same, provide some sort of filtering. What can be seen by the general public, and is there certain bad websites, other websites, that are being blocked, and in what measures are taken, and in how well are those measures and devices being implemented. They're doing their best, but as a collective with parents, the government, the teachers, the awareness, and the service providers, if they get together to make the lives of those users better, I think we'd be in a safer and a better place for those kids.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for making time, and I would love to have you again and
definitely,
again, because you have so much information to tell.
Definitely, thank you.
And indeed, we need to be aware that the internet is good, but it can be very risky.
Very risky.
Yes. So thank you so much. We hope you've learned a lot, and let's stay safe. Let's take care of our information online. Have a wonderful day.